Hi, everyone. Welcome to the September New York Tech Meetup. It's not a New York Tech Meetup unless there's some technical issues, apparently. So thank you so much for all of your patience while we got those worked out. They changed some user interface on the production side and drew me for a loop. But I'm glad we're all here today. And we got things kicked off and started. We have a really fantastic meetup in store for you. So let me just share my screen, do a few quick intros, and we'll get right to the demos. I hope that you have enjoyed the platform, getting to a chance to network and video chat with your fellow attendees. And I'm always excited to connect with as many of you as possible. So again, welcome to the September New York Tech Meetup. Really fantastic to have you. And a little bit about myself. My name is Andy Saldaña. I'm the Executive Director of New York Tech Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization that is driving access, equity, and inclusion within the New York tech community to make it the most diverse and dynamic in the world. If you want to learn more about us, check us out at nytech.org. And you can always email me at andy@nytech.org. We'll be pasting these links in the chat throughout the session, so if you miss any of them, no worries. You'll find them in the chat. My fantastic colleague, Doug Bennett, will be posting those. Quickly, a privacy statement. If I do ask you to come on camera, we are recording this event and live streaming to YouTube, so just be aware that any of your video and audio may be used in that recording. If you prefer not to, just keep it closed. It's only during the session that we're recording. During the networking pieces, we are not recording those conversations. Tonight's agendas, a few thank yous to start with, some ground rules, then we'll get to the demos. And then if you in the community, in the audience, have any asks or offers for the community, please put them in the chat and I'll read them out at the end of the event. Thank you to all of our wonderful annual partners that make everything that we do possible. They support us in this program and all of our other programs, in our everyday work and connecting with founders, entrepreneurs, tech workers, and members of the tech community. They're all really great service providers that are making the entrepreneurial journey a great success. I encourage you to check them all out at nytech.org/partners. Everybody from Crown Castle to Xandr, who is a very special thank you to them tonight. MasterCard Start Path, Nation Builder, Insperity, and beyond. A very special thank you to Xandr for coming on as our virtual partner, supporting the virtual experience at the New York Tech Meetup. So thank you so much. I encourage you to check them out. They're currently hiring. So if you would like to learn more about Xandr and their open positions, you can check out their page on our website at nytech.org/partners_Xandr. And the available job listings are there. They're fantastic and they've been a great partner for a very long time. Let's see. Awesome. And then if you like this event, we have a number of events coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next Tuesday, we are doing a one-on-one conversation with Suma Reddy from Future Acres. She's an amazing founder. As part of our Founder Spotlight series, we'll be talking about creating hardware, creating startups from the ground up. She's currently working on an amazing agricultural startup. So if you're interested in ag tech or any kind of Internet of Things or hardware, she's an amazing person. I'll be picking her brain, and she'll have some great tips for our entrepreneurs in the audience. On September the 29th at noon, we are doing a one-on-one conversation with Ted Sabady of Sabady and Associates. It's all going to be all about IP. He's such an interesting character, and he's going to help us answer what are the 5 top questions that a startup founder should be asking about IP and copyright. And then I'll see you right back here for October's New York Tech Meetup. It's a very special night, and we're showcasing our Black women founders. This is the second year that we're doing the event. We had a fantastic event last year. And so if we encourage you to join us for that event on Tuesday, October the 5th at 5:30 p.m. If you are interested in any of our events, you can always find them at nytech.org. This is the application link for any Black women founders in the audience, or if you know of any Black women founders that are making really cool products, creating really cool startups, we encourage them to apply to demo at the event. We already have a couple of spots filled, but there are a couple left, so feel free to fill out the application or email me directly at andy@nytech.org. And then if you are planning any kind of tech event or an event for the tech community, I encourage you to list it at our event calendar at nytech.org/events. We pick a couple of them out for our newsletters, and we include them in our newsletters. So please submit your tech event to our calendar and then reach out to me, and I'm always happy to make a shout out through our social. Before we get to the event, just two more quick announcements. One is we partnered with Traverse Insurance and to give away 4 tickets to the Governor's Ball. The Governor's Ball is happening September 24th, 25th, I believe. And so we are opening up a sweepstakes. I encourage you to join. You might have received a special email today from us that had the link. The link is here. Doug will be putting the link in the chat, and we definitely encourage you to put in your name and see if you can win some tickets to the Governor's Ball. It's a really fantastic partnership and a great thing that Traverse is doing for the community. And then Unfinished Live is happening on September the 23rd and 24th at the Shed. It's going to be all about new technologies, blockchain, decentralization. They've given our community 100 free tickets, so I encourage you to take a look. You can use the code CivicHall at live.unfinished.com to get one of those tickets. Some really fantastic speakers on board. I'm looking forward to being there and seeing all of the amazing speakers that they've put together. It's going to be a hybrid event, so encourage you to check it out. And then if you like what we do, if you want to support us in any kind of way, there are 3 ways that you can support us. You can make a small donation when you RSVP to any of our virtual events. You can become an individual or corporate member of New York Tech Alliance, or you can simply make a small donation. You can find all of that information at nytech.org. And with that, I'm going to see what, let's see, my screen stopped. So a few quick ground rules. We have 2 amazing demoers up for you today. Really fantastic companies. One dealing with small business funding and helping small business mom and pop stores get funding. The other about connecting people in a virtual setting. So really fantastic products, really great founders. I've really enjoyed connecting with the teams at both of these companies. And before we get to the event, just a few things. Make sure that you're putting any questions you have for them in the Q&A space of the platform, that you're respectful, and that you're present. And with that, we're going to begin the program. So Nick, if you're up, I'm going to add you as a speaker and get you situated, and apologize for not connecting with you sooner, but again, just dealing with a few technical difficulties. So let me find you. I'm not seeing Nick in the room. Abigail, or sorry, Isabel. Is Nick here? If you could private message me. There you are. Nope. Nick, if you could just private message me, that would be great. Oh, okay, so Dominic is presenting. Alrighty, no problems at all. Let me just get Dominic added as a speaker. One moment. The ins and outs of virtual events. And Dominic, you should see. Perfect. There we are, Dominic. Oh, great. Great to see you again.
Likewise.
Fantastic. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to let you share your screen.
Sure.
And then once I see that screen share, I'm going to disappear for a few minutes. Go ahead and do your presentation, and then I'll jump back in to facilitate the Q&A. You have about five to 7 minutes to make your presentation. And everybody in the audience, if you have questions for Dominic, just put them in the chat or the Q&A piece, and we'll get them answered. So Dominic, go ahead and share your screen, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, sharing screen. Let's get this up. Can everyone see?
Perfect. We do see your screen.
Okay.
So I'm going to disappear and let you have the floor.
Sounds good. So yeah, thanks so much for that intro. My name's Dom. I'm the Director of Sales here at Mainvest. We've also got Isabel, our Director of Marketing, and Roosh, Account Executive here as well. So, we're happy to answer questions, but I'll tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So we're Mainvest. We're Main Street's investment platform. So what that means is that basically Mainvest is a tool that, can be used by basically two different groups of people. The first is Main Street style businesses can use Mainvest to raise capital. And by Main Street style businesses, I don't necessarily just mean kind of your Norman Rockwell soda shop kind of type business, although we do work primarily with brick and mortar businesses, and a lot of them are in food and beverage. But to us, a Main Street business is really any business that is sort of a natural gathering place for a community. And we've had a lot of success with all online businesses, but businesses that people sort of feel connected to and feel loyal to, and really feel like they're in some ways a place where they can mingle and connect with people. So the other group of people who use Mainvest is the other side of the marketplace, which are people who want to invest. And as you can tell by the name, we allow people to invest in Main Street, invest in these businesses. So what that means is that anyone at all with as little as $100 and a bank account can go onto Mainvest and invest in one of these businesses. So historically, investment in private businesses has been something only available to accredited investors and only via private placements. So something that really wasn't an option for people who were looking to invest in the 3 or 4 figures. It was really something that was kind of for people at a certain level of investment and for no one else. And so the reason why we believe that Mainvest is necessary, and I think our track record so far has really proved it, is that businesses that are, in this world where you're, brick and mortar for the most part, or in general, just a business that is not a tech company and that is looking to raise capital. If you're a bakery, if you're a bar, if you're a restaurant, if you're a pizzeria, it's extremely hard to get financing for a number of reasons. There's a lot of sort of talk and sort of conventional wisdom about how those businesses tend to fail at this crazily alarming rate. But we really looked at the data and we found that wasn't the case. And on the flip side of that, you have this huge barrier to access to capital, and that's a big reason why our cities are filling with Chipotles and Starbucks, and so many businesses that we know and love are closing down. Those businesses do have access to capital, and they raise capital very often via public debt markets. So very similar to the model we're using, and what Mainvest does is it basically takes the same tools that are used by the big dogs, public debt markets, and gives everyone access to it. So on the other side, if you're an investor, your options are really sort of, in a lot of ways, I believe, limited in terms of what you can invest in, a retail investor. You can invest in publicly traded companies pretty easily through ETFs, through stock picking. But it's hard to invest in businesses that you really have a real sense of who they are and what they do. And I think we all know what are the spots in our own neighborhoods that are just really popular. There's always a line around the corner. And we thought that it would be amazing if people could invest with that, both in order to make a return and also to help build the businesses that they want to see in their own neighborhoods. So rather than banks kind of being the decider as whether you get a Chipotle or a Starbucks or a coffee shop that was founded by maybe someone or someone who's in your extended network, we're allowing people to actually kind of make that call and vote with their wallets as to see how they want their neighborhoods to evolve. So this is something which, there's quite a bit of reason why we think there's a gap in the market here, right? So new business formation is, as this slide says, exploding. But that doesn't mean that the financial infrastructure is really keeping up with that. There's this huge demand for early stage financing for these types of businesses, but that doesn't mean that lending has really kept pace at all. So the way it really works, kind of getting more into the details here, is businesses are using Mainvest to basically market financial securities called revenue share notes publicly on our platform in such a way where incentives are really well aligned between businesses and investors. So one key difference between Mainvest and most debt is that, revenue share notes via Mainvest and most debt is that on Mainvest, the actual repayments that the businesses make are not just a fixed dollar amount, but they're based on the performance of the business. So in this case, tied to revenue. And what that means is that if you're, coming into a situation as a business owner where you're deciding, do I want to expand, but can I handle the debt? You might be apprehensive to do that because, if things don't go as well as you think, you might be sort of crushed under these big debt service payments and not be performing well enough to really handle them. So by sharing risk between the investors and the businesses, the borrowers, we're able to protect them from that downside and also incentivize folks to spend their money at these businesses, right? So, if you're getting a piece of every bit of revenue that a business earns, you might be more likely to go there, to bring your friends there, et cetera. The other big barrier to, doing this kind of, capital raise outside of borrowing from an institutional lender is that how do you facilitate repayments? How do you handle investor relations? Those are things that if you're not doing them at scale are tremendously expensive and just beyond the reach of most early stage entrepreneurs, in this space. So we handle all that, right? We've got software that facilitates investor relations and repayments all the way through. These businesses are able to just sign into Mainvest and pay back what they owe. I'll show you that later. So, I talked a little bit about this, but basically one thing that we wanted to sort of build was helping people rethink investing and really what you're doing when you're investing, right? It's something where you're thinking, oh, I really want to make money, but where you invest determines so much of where the world goes. We know that there's a lot of investment in our lifetimes in tech. And so that's where the world is going, right? It's not this sort of foregone conclusion necessarily where money just follows the good ideas. Sometimes the growth just follows the money. And if you build tools to allow people to facilitate investment into certain sectors, then you can see growth in that sector. And I think we'd all agree that this is a sector where it means a huge amount to all of us, but it's easy to overlook it, right? I know it's easy to take for granted that spot on your corner that you go to every day, but don't really think twice about. And so we're trying to change that paradigm. So basically, the number I want to really talk about is that 99%. So we're using this sort of euphemism for COVID here, uncertain times. Outside of Mainvest, we've been seeing this small business apocalypse, right? It's all over the news. And if you were to just poll Mainvest businesses about that, I don't think they would agree. 99% of the businesses that have raised capital on Mainvest are not in default. They're still in good standing with their debt. And a lot of that is because there's so much flexibility built into that, right? A lot of questions I get when I think is, well, how do you make sure that these people, pay the debt back? Well, you may not get, like a threatening letter from a lawyer if you don't repay your Mainvest investors in the same way you would from a bank. But you are going to then be stiffing people in your community, people who you probably know. So I think there's a lot of flexibility built into it, and also there's a reason to make these repayments because I think you owe some of these people more than just money, right? They're people you know and people you have a relationship with. This is just our growth. We're growing. We've invested and done hundreds of deals at this point. These numbers are all a little bit outdated now, but you get the idea. So the other cool thing about these raises is that they don't just get you capital, right? They're big, they're loud, and they generate a lot of buzz. Tons of press. We get an average like 2 write-ups per campaign that we run because it's just it's such a good story, right? The hometown hero business that we all love is raising capital. So by raising capital on Mainvest, what you also do is as you're just bringing more people into the family of your business. And as an investor, if you're thinking about investing in a business on Mainvest, you kind of get to be a part of this really exciting local story. And we've seen it happen hundreds of times. And, it can be kind of this rallying point for communities. And happens all over the country. So I can talk a little bit about some stuff we've done in New York. Here's two founders that we've worked with. Boogie Down Grind is a coffee shop and event space in the Bronx, where really what we saw was, this is obviously, as we know, most of us who are in New York, that the South Bronx has been kind of historically really underinvested in. Basically, that's not something that, looked, despite what you see in the news and programs and stuff, I think people want to take more of a direct role in being part of that change. And I think that, Mainvest is a tool that allows people to actually do that. So case in point, Boogie Down Grind and Majora Carter, the founder. Likewise with Gordon Sachs, a little bit different story, upstate New York around Saratoga Springs. And he was able to raise, quite a bit of capital for a sort of farm to table restaurant and farm that he built out himself. And it's just a business that, I think everyone in the city is very happy for it there. It's in what was formerly like an abandoned auto body shop that no one was happy about. And now it's an amazing restaurant that people line up to go to. So that's sort of the very high level version of Mainvest. I'm going to stick around if you have questions, but before I do, I'm going to give you a little bit of a demo of just how it works. So as an investor, you stumble upon Mainvest, you click on an ad or whatever. You can check out all the different businesses raising capital on Mainvest. We've got a lot of different sort of categories organized in such a way. But yeah, let's just go with this one. So I like beer. I'll invest in a brewery. Let me check it out. You can just look at all that sort of content that they put together here. They have these non-monetary perks where, if you invest at a certain threshold, you can sort of get, a mug club or a swag or whatever. Basically, our system is such that they can take their content and use it to sort of build out this sort of attractive, professional-looking page without necessarily being web designers. So if I want to invest, I type in the amount I want to invest, whatever, $100, let's do that. And I sign quite a few disclosures. And then I won't do it because as someone who works for Mainvest, I can't. But if I go through all this, I'll be taken through a flow where I can link my bank account, make my investment, and then that's the same account that when it's time for repayments, I'll be paid back into that account. So it's a very easy process, right? And again, easier than opening an account on E-Trade, and you're doing it with a business that would have never been able to source investment in this frictionless way before. So on the other side, I have a little, sample business I can show you. If you're a business owner trying to raise capital, you go through this onboarding process. It asks you for different things, different pieces of information. You build your page here. This is very, very blank right now, but by the time you sort of get all that, you're ready to go, and then you become one of these businesses. So, a live campaign on the platform. So yeah, that's Mainvest. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Great program. Let me see. I feel like I'm echoing, so give me a moment. Awesome. Yeah, so I think, one of the questions that came in was, is it only for accredited investors? I think you answered that earlier in the demo, but if you want to just speak to that a bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so it's for everyone. It's for anyone with a bank account. There's no limit. I mean, there's some limits on how much you can invest that come into place sometimes, but on the whole, it really is just, you can invest in a business you love. So, we see a lot of people who are kind of really more like capital I investors who tend to be investing larger amounts, and they're interested in the asset class. They're interested in kind of getting exposure to the small business asset class, which is not something that really you could have done in the past, right? Like I'm sure we've all seen these like themed exchange traded funds or mutual funds where it's all, green businesses, or it's all, oil businesses, or whatever it is. It's just, themed kind of things where if you want to get exposure to a certain part of the economy, in your investment portfolio, you can do it. And this is basically taking that same logic and applying it to the Main Street asset class, as we call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on the small business side, what kind of analytics are you providing back on the dashboard? Are they able to see kind of where they're at in the campaign? What kind of investors are coming through the pipeline? Do you provide any kind of analytics on that side?
Yeah, we do, for sure. And I can't actually, I don't have one of those. I can't sign into a live campaign right now because privacy, et cetera. But we provide basically, all kinds of tracking, a watch list, what kind of traffic their page is getting, graphs about that. If they do, comments, and there's a whole discussion board where they can communicate with people who are maybe potential investors and have a question. Yeah, so all kinds of stuff. And then the other thing they get is, a live person, right? Like a big problem, I think, is that, this is not easy to do. Like, I'm not going to say that it is. Raising capital under any circumstances, unless have a rich uncle or something, is not easy. And at Mainvest, you get a sort of a raise coach who is going to help you through it, who's going to help you understand those analytics and, provide you with kind of even a deeper level and just kind of help you understand what you need to do in order to hit your capital raise target.
Awesome. And it was great to see Majora on the platform. She's an old friend of New York Tech Meetup and New York Tech Alliance. So really fantastic that she has a new venture on the platform. That's awesome. I love Majora. She's such an amazing woman. Awesome. Great. Let me see. I saw a raised hand. Ryan, I'm going to hand you the mic if you have a question, and we'll see if this works. This is a new feature on Airmeet, so we'll see if everything works and if you still have a question. Ryan, are you there?
Maybe, I don't know if I'm. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
We can. We can hear you.
You can see my RE. I think it's an amazing idea. I just had a question about, I had a note to myself. So somebody asked a question about securities exceptions. I guess my two question was like, how do you deal with security stuff? Like, how is this not like a capital raise? We have to comply with federal state securities laws. Like, what's your guys like kind of take on? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like what's our exemption?
Yeah, and then also like, how is it different than Kickstarter? Like, do you feel a different market kind of need than Kickstarter or Indiegogo? Like, what's?
Yeah, sure. So I can sort of answer the how is this legal question first. So basically, the regulatory framework that we work under came out of the 2017 Jobs Act, which took effect quite a bit, a little bit after that, where basically there's a carve out exemption to securities law where if you raise capital via certain they're called registered funding portals, of which we're one, those regulations don't apply, and that's how we're able to accept investment from non-accredited investors. And to your second question of how is this different from Kickstarter or Indiegogo, so the look and feel is not too different, which is sort of a design decision that we made where we wanted to give people something that they were familiar with and felt easy and felt not like sort of what you'd experience on like a bank's website. And the big difference is one, you're accepting investment, right? And the problem with for certain places, in certain businesses, with the rewards-based crowdfunding, which is what Kickstarter is, it doesn't scale super well, right? Like if I want to invest $50 and get a T-shirt, that's great. But what if I want to invest $10,000? I can't do anything with 10,000 T-shirts. So there's sort of this limit that individuals can really sort of invest in those campaigns that are based on rewards. And then the other thing is, those are just really sort of self-serve platforms, right? Like you go on there, you create your thing, and you raise money. There's no one at Kickstarter who's working with you. So that's sort of, I think, another way where we kind of differentiate ourselves is that you get access to live people who are your partners in raising capital. And we have worked at this point with enough people who have tried to raise capital or even succeeded in raising capital on those platforms. And on average, we've seen people raise 17 times more on Mainvest than they do on either of those, or sort of those two together. So I think it's for bigger raises. It's specifically for businesses. and it's investment. It's not sort of rewards based. So the ceiling for how much you can raise, and also the ceiling for how much it really makes sense to invest, is quite a bit higher.
So you basically get a percentage of the company then. Like if I go on your site and I invest in a company, Acme Inc. or whatever, I invest like whatever $10,000. I actually get a percentage of the company. Like, is that how it kind of works?
Nope. So yeah, it's all debt financing. So you're not ownership isn't changing hands as a result of a Mainvest raise. Really, the agreement between an issuer, which is a business on Mainvest, and a note holder is that the note holder is entitled to quarterly payments, which are a percentage of revenue, until principal plus some fixed return on top of that is paid back to the note holder. So yeah, it's more like loans than it is like equity financing.
Great idea. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for that question. And thank you, Dominic, for that amazing presentation and the demo. Really fantastic product. I'm really a huge fan of what you're doing at Mainvest. I think it's really helpful to a lot of small businesses, especially during this time. So everybody, I encourage you to check out Dominic and Mainvest. There was one more question about business model, but we're not going to take that one because here at New York Tech Meetup, we don't really focus on the business model of the technology, more about the technology and product. But Jeanette, I really encourage you to connect with Dominic and the Mainvest team if you have more questions about that. I'm sure they're happy to connect with you. So thank you again, and we're going to move right along to our next demo. Let's see. Awesome. Next up, we have Raviv from Kino. So let me just find you in the people section, and I will get you added to the stage. And here we go. Right to stage, and there we are. Hi, Raviv. Sorry about the delay this evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Perfect, and there you are. I want you to go ahead and share your screen and make sure that we're able to see everything.
Sure thing. Before I do that, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna give a quick description of what Kino is, and a little bit of history so people can relate before I actually jump into the demo. So back in
I'm gonna hide myself and then take it away.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Raviv from Kino by Kinetx Co. We're based in New York, Manhattan, New York. We started developing Kino back in March of 2020. I personally went on one Zoom call with friends, and it was kind of awkward because you never know when you can talk and when you can say something and who's the next speaker, and it's always a business conferencing tool. So we took that idea of all the video conferencing tools are pretty much a telephone conference with video, because there's only one speaker at the time. And back when I was doing that conference call with friends in the beginning of COVID, I was like, I just want to talk to that person, but I don't want to be detached from my group because I wanted, because I was there for my group. So we started developing Kino, and we came to the conclusion that the only thing that needs to happen actually is what's going to happen in real life. Like if I move away from a person, then his audio is down and he's further away, so I see him in a smaller tile, if you will, or I see him from far, so his silhouette is a little bit smaller. And that's what we actually created with Kino, which is it's a very exciting platform. So I'm going to demo you. I have some of my team on my other tab here, and we're going to show you how it works real quick so you can kind of get the feel of what's going on the platform. And then I'll share with you how it can actually be used from day to day, and what are the use cases that you can use Kino for. So with that, I'm just going to share my screen here. Audio. All right, so right now you can see my screen. I have my team members here, and they are in different spaces around the Kino. I can open my spaces and I can actually see multiple spaces that are in my view right here. And I can simply just hop over to Tom and say, "Hi Tom, what's up?"
Hey, Raviv, what's up?
Wait, yeah, Tom, we need the echo. So Tom is one of our developers. He's actually located in Albania. we can see that Omri and Nathan are having a conversation, and their volume is set at 5%, so that I can still kind of hear them in the background, but they are not overwhelming my experience, my conversation with Tom. So Tom, we started using Kino as a virtual office, like what, in September of 2020 or so. How has it been for you? And I'm going to just mute for myself, Nathan and Omri, because now we.
No worries, I muted the tab, so.
Yeah.
It has been quite a journey for me, as it has been the first job as I did as a web developer. And actually, I started day by day entering the Kino, assembling with the team, taking small discussions, and then we go to work. Like every one of us has its own space where we do our work, and if we have any problems, any issues, every team member is one wave away. Like when I wave someone, I send him like a notification to join me and help me. So it's very good.
Fantastic.
And very fast.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tom. So if I just wanted to go ahead and just join my other teammates here, I can just hop over and just say hi to, hey, Nathan and Omri, how are you guys?
What's up? Hello.
Right. So, and then you guys, I don't know, you probably know that some people just don't want to be seen on camera, and then we developed something nice. Because, you know, some people, you're going to close your camera and then you don't know if the person is there or not. So what we developed is something called privacy mode, where I can just blur my entire screen so that you can see that I'm here, but you can't see if I'm wearing my makeup or not. Well, personally, I'm not wearing makeup, but, you know, for those who are using it or just don't have a bad hair day, we can use that. And one nice things about Keynote is that you can actually make announcements. So if I wanted to make an announcement to all my team at once, I click and hold this button here. And hey, everyone, can you raise your right hand just for the sake that they can see it? Fantastic. Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So what is it good for? Honestly, that's a question that you know, we were talking about a lot with people a lot. And we started from the social aspect of Kino, so you can actually hang out with friends and have those during COVID and the lockdown. You can actually have like conversations and hangouts that make sense because you're not bound in a one conversation. And if you go to breakout rooms, you don't know what's happening on the other room or environment. So it's like you might as well open another Zoom session or another video teleconferencing session with someone else, and then you're missing out on the group. So the social aspect is pretty easy to understand. Something else that we know, just like I mentioned, business. Like we have someone asked me. Tom, by the way, is based in Albania, in Europe, and someone asked me, how did you connect? So we can connect with people across the planet, like initially through freelancer networks, Upwork or others. And just have an office where people can be in their spaces. When someone is in their space, as you know, they come. The others go to the side at 5% audio, and actually have the office space environment without being overwhelmed, without people talking on their video. So yeah, some people go and be like, yeah, are you guys on video all day long? I'm like, yes, we are, because we come to work. And for those who doesn't want to be on video, you can always activate your privacy mode. If I'm going to share my screen again, just to give you like a glimpse. So this is our virtual office, which is now empty because we're off hours, but we have all these spaces of all these people here that are just here and can, you know, you can see them while we work. And we collaborate as if we were just in the same space, the same environment, but virtually. Our development process of Kino, the progress that we've made, jumped 10 times when we started using it as a virtual office. Virtual events, virtual conferencing, everything that you could do in a venue or like in a room environment, you can do on Kino, and that's pretty much the power of what we bring about. the last thing that I want to talk to you about is the e-learning space that we are hitting right now, because we see that teachers can have like classes with their students, and they can that they can relate to. So the students have like a real life class environment where the teacher can engage with like individuals inside the class, or like move around, or have like workshops. So we're getting a lot of traction from the e-learning space, which is very exciting, using Kino. So pretty much that's the demo. I hope that I didn't bore you with talking too much.
Not at all. Not at all. That was really fantastic, Raviv, and great to see that demo. I think from when I first met you, like a month and a half ago, to what you're created now, you've already developed a lot more features and a lot more usability. So it's really great to see how fast you're developing the product over time. And the use cases are really unique and different from some of the other video platforms that I've seen in the past. I really love the video clarity and the audio clarity. I'm going to go ahead and jump into Q&A. Anybody who has questions and answers. Apparently there is a new feature on Airmeet that is going to cut us off in 4 minutes. So I'm learning about all these new features that I wasn't aware about. So I apologize if we get cut off. But the networking will remain. It's just this program piece that will stop in about 4 minutes. So I'm going to ask Micah, Micah from Xandr, do you have a question? Let me see. I saw that you raised your hand. I'm going to hand you the mic.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We can, yes.
Excellent. Awesome stuff, Raviv. If I try to put myself in your shoes, like the first thing I think is like, man, how do I scale this? So let's say, great problem to have is you guys are super successful. Have you thought sort of what that would look like and how you would address it?
I'm sorry. I didn't catch it.
So let's say you guys have a ton of success and you have 100,000 users at some point overnight. That's the plan, right? So, I'm curious, how you guys are sort of tackling the ability to scale to handle high load, things like that.
From the technology standpoint.
Yeah.
So, our technology is honestly very lightweight in terms of the resources that are required to operate it. With that, from not the technology standpoint, with manpower and so on, our ability to work with people remotely and offshore helps us save a ton of resources. Honestly, bring opportunity to places and people and talents that otherwise wouldn't have the option to get an opportunity to work with a company like Kino. So we have a very lean approach from the technology standpoint and from the manpower standpoint, and that's how we've been able to create Kino within a year and a half. We had our capacity right now. We can host up to 1,000 users on a single Kino without taxing your endpoint equipment and without overloading our servers. So that's something that we are doing through our technology.
Awesome.
Can I ask, are you guys hosting like self-hosting, or is it in a particular cloud, or how are you?
We're using several clouds to host our servers. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Micah. I'm sorry to cut everybody off, but the clock is ticking down, and it's going to kick us out. So before I cut anybody off, thank you again, Micah, for that question. Thank you, Raviv, for the demo. It's a really exciting platform. Everybody in the audience, I encourage you to stick around for the networking and connect with the founders. Awesome. Thank you. And we have 10 seconds left. Micah had an ask about hiring, and